This is an LLD production.
Welcome to this episode of Owlia's Opinions with Lulu McDonald, the podcast in which we take a better look into the world we love, learn new things, and debate the toughest issues the world has in store. I am one half of your co-host, Armon Owlia. I am a journalism student here at Drexel University in Philadelphia, and it is time to enter the new School of Thought. First of all, thanks everyone so much for listening in to our show. This one promises to be an amazing episode with a review of the classic Italian film La Vita è Bella, better known as Life is Beautiful. Then I discuss a growing problem this winter in schools all across the country and what can be done to end it. And finally, a concern in the 2020 election that has not been addressed yet, as well as a possible solution. However, before that, I'd like to bring up the story of Drexel University's student-run independent newspaper, The Triangle, of which I am a staff writer. Recently, The Triangle ran out of money to print out physical copies, and we have been working hard to become an online platform. However, the one thing The Triangle needs is funds in order to get a print edition out, because that is where we make our primary profits, well, that and in advertising. We have been very lucky to get donations from Drexel alumni and faculty, and if you are one of those who listen to the show who have donated already, thank you guys so much. However, to those of you who haven't and would like to help me and all the writers who work so incredibly hard to do what we do, then go to www.thetriangle.org/donate and contribute as much as you can. We are trying to get at or past $16,000, and at the moment we are around $13,800. Every dollar does make a difference. So to help an institution in Drexel's journalism world, then go to www.thetriangle.org/donate and contribute. Again, www.thetriangle.org/donate. The link will be in the description of this episode. With that being said, let's get right to it. This week, I'll be reviewing the Italian classic film Life is Beautiful, released in 1998, and directed, written by and starring legendary Italian actor Roberto Benigni, who won 2 Oscars for this film, for foreign language film and Benigni himself for Best Actor. I'm happily joined by my special guest co-reviewer, a former Owlia's Opinions guest, architecture student, and someone who is generally knowledgeable in much of the subject matter of the film, Miss Frankie Alchanati. Frankie, thank you for joining us.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. The film is Life is Beautiful, a dramedy that brilliantly weaves together a tale of love and family with the tragic story of Italy's fascist past and the backdrop of the Holocaust. The film follows the story of a young Jewish-Italian country boy turned waiter named Guido Orefice, played by the film's star, director, and co-writer Roberto Benigni, as he moves into the city of Rome and falls in love with a teacher named Dora, played by Benigni's real-life wife and talented actress in her own right, Nicoletta Braschi. Through Guido's quick and sharp mind, not to mention his penchant for comedy and natural philosophical thoughts, he successfully woos Dora away from her aristocratic family while also making fun of the profoundly fascist government and regime run by Italy at that time. Benigni does so in arguably the funniest uses of physical comedy since Jacques Tati's Monsieur Hublot's Holiday, and substantial utilization of the Buffon style. Some years later, the two are married and have a son, Jose, who are taken to a concentration camp due to Guido and Jose being Jewish, and Dora's love towards both her husband and son, even though Dora is not Jewish. Due to the separation policies at that time, again, Dora and Guido are separated, and Guido has to balance finding his wife with distracting his son, turning the entire Holocaust into a game in which the grand prize, worth 1,000 points, is a full-size tank. The chemistry between not only Benigni and Braschi, but also Benigni and Giorgio Cantarini, who plays Jose, is highly realistic, natural, and almost unquestionable, making them a convincing family unit. I say almost because there are more scenes between the father and son than of just the mother and son. However, the humor is dialed down considerably from the first half of the film, with enough of the humor still present to make the movie watchable considering the subject matter of the Holocaust. The choice of ending too, while tragic, does have tremendous heart, capping off the film in one of the most triumphant ways I think ever put to film. In the end, Life is Beautiful lives up to its name, and then some. If Benigni proved anything, it's that humor and strong wit can not only illuminate, but also elevate. This is a film that needs to be seen and experienced to be truly appreciated. On the HNN scale, I give it a hot. Frankie.
Your description about like the title,
Yeah.
"Life is Beautiful," when you were talking about that, it really brings up an ironic kind of thought because the Holocaust was nothing beautiful about it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely nothing about it that is beautiful. So it's kind of like a plot twist when you first sent me the title. When you first sent me the title, you mentioned like can you watch this movie? It's called Life is Beautiful. And not knowing that what the movie's subject is on, I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's just going to be like a nice maybe chick flick. Life is Beautiful. Maybe something about a romantic comedy or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when you actually look up the movie and you watch the movie and you actually take the time to really understand what the movie is about, there's nothing beautiful about it. And so you said a comment before about what he said during the Oscar. What, Rob?
Yeah. So during the acceptance speech when he won for Best Foreign Language Film, he said something on the lines of, I'd like to dedicate this Oscar not only to my wife, Nicola Dabrowski, who plays the wife in the movie, but to all the people who gave their lives so we can say life is beautiful.
Right. So honestly, that sums up everything. Yeah. That quote about everyone sacrificing their life, because it's not, I wouldn't say sacrificing because they didn't choose to sacrifice.
Oh, definitely not.
Definitely not. They were forced. They had to do what they were told to do. And yes, you can look at it as they are giving us a beautiful life, but unfortunately, in a lot of cases, it's still not that way. There's still so much anti-Semitism happening. There's still so much hate happening between not just like Jewish people, but the minorities as a whole. Like we have not learned from the past. It happens all the time. It happened in Pittsburgh. It happens at schools around the country. It's horrible. It's horrible, horrible, horrible.
Yeah.
But to have a movie like this where you think there's going to be a happy ending because it says in the title, Life is beautiful. And in a sense, like Roberto said in his Oscar speech, yes, that they gave us a beautiful life. When you think about all the survivors who came out of it, they're resilient. They have given life. They've given grandchildren and kids, but it's still, when you think deep down to it, it's not beautiful.
Definitely not, but it's such... Movie, though, touches so many levels. I mean, I'm a callous guy. I rarely cry during movies. There are scenes in this movie that I just broke down. I broke down in tears. Like,
do you think you broke down? Because, like, when you watch a movie, like, unless it's like there's fiction versus nonfiction, do you think it really hits you because you know that this really happened? Like, even though like the idea of the Holocaust being a game and like winning a tank, like that's not exactly what occurred, but like the fact that the Holocaust did happen.
I mean, yeah,
do you think that's what really
but at the same time, I mean, the actual story between Guido, Dora, and Joseph, I don't think that actually did happen in real life. If it did, then oh my god.
Right.
But
there are cases though, like not the exact circumstance, but there are times where a father figure and like an adult did try to make the experience for the younger kids a little less tragic. Like there are, I wouldn't say, I don't know from true stories, but from hearing Holocaust survivors, from going to Poland, walking the concentration camps, hearing my tour guide, there have been scenarios where kids were protected in a certain way. Because it's Imagine, even at this age, I couldn't go through that. At 20 years old,
definitely not.
I could not go through that. Imagine all the young kids who had to be there.
Unfortunately, and of course, 10 million people dead because of one man's horrifying vision. And yeah, I mean, it was such a sad event, but Roberto Benigni was able to bring some level of light to it, which is very difficult. In fact, in the full review I did, which you can find on lovelearndebate.com, I said it's very difficult to make light of such a dark situation, such as the Holocaust, but Benigni was able to do just that, but enough to where the level of horror was still present. Yeah. But you can still laugh. There are still scenes when they're in the camp that, you can't help but crack a smile, because it's watching a father and son together and having some level of fun in the darkest of scenarios. Oh my God, what a triumph. Seriously, what a triumph.
I know, I'm glad I got the award. Yeah. Because it's hard in any situation to bring light, any dark, negative, tragic situation. Yeah. But, I don't know, I think I want to say this is a good thing, but there's a lot of people out there in the world that don't believe the Holocaust happened.
I know.
And so having an award-winning movie like this, bringing attention like this to a movie, hopefully would get people to watch it.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's not just documentary. Like, there's a lot of movies that have, and these are important movies for sure, where they're just kind of talking about the history and the events that happened. But this one brings a little bit of a twist because it actually tells a story, and the audience is brought in as they go through this journey of this family that gets separated and having to wonder if they're ever going to reunite and if anything's going to happen. And so this draws people in to want to learn. And not even want. It's not even a want. They just learn because they're watching this movie from just out of curiosity for the movie itself. And then through this journey, they're learning about the Holocaust.
So we have something called the H&N scale, which is how we rate movies. It's hot, neutral, and not. What would you give this film on that scale?
Hot would be really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely,
okay.
Yes.
I would say hot, but it's the idea that it's I don't want to say killing two birds with one stone. It's a little bit ironic situation, but it's killing two birds with one stone because it's not only bringing you in, like I said before, into watching this movie and taking you on this journey and learning about this family and this whole scenario, but it's also teaching you and it's helping you. Well, a big thing that a lot of museums and the federations and communities want is to not forget. Don't forget. Yeah. Because if you forget, it can happen again. You forget about all these survivors that, quote unquote, Roberto said in his speech, they're the ones who brought this beautiful life. You forget about them. It's gone. And so this movie being award-winning, and also even if it wasn't award-winning, but that helps a little bit because it's bringing more attention to it. Yeah. It's going to help you not to forget. It's going to make you realize that this happened, that we need to continue to work together, to be together, to understand each other. Because I think, honestly, my thing is, if we all learn to walk in each other's shoes and understand one another and not just jump to conclusions about this person based on the way they look, the way they come from, their major, their just anything about them. If you really, really just look at a person and try to understand why they do the things they do, why they say the things they do, why they want to learn the things that they want to learn. If you really try to understand, if you give it some time, that can really help. I wouldn't say cure world peace because we're never going to have that just because of how we are as human beings, but we'll definitely limit the amount of hate that we have in this world. Because when you understand somebody and you accept them, how can you hate them? Unless you have some very different views, but if you understand where those different views are rooting from and growing from, you'll learn to accept. And I think that's the beauty of life. That's what makes life beautiful, is our differences. You shouldn't. I don't think you should hate. My mom always said to me when I was younger, I used to say, like, I hate this food. I hate learning this. I hate doing this. And she's like, hate's a strong word. You don't really hate it. You dislike it. But so I try to limit the word hate because I really don't hate it. I don't hate anything. I just sometimes I don't like it as much.
Frankie Alchanati, thank you so much for talking with me and coming onto the program talking about the movie. So I want to know, what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Frankie? What are your own thoughts? So go to www.lovelearndebate.com, click on the Love tab, and you'll find the review for Life is Beautiful there. Put any questions and thoughts you have into the comment section. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back after this song by Jordan Smith, we'll talk about an issue that may have garnered some controversy a while back, but is amazingly important for the health of all humankind. We'll be back after this.
I don't wanna go through any of this anymore. Every time you act like nothing's wrong, I wanna run out the door. Thinking that you're being kind, but you make me lose my mind. Every issue's ignored. When will you see you push me away? Don't think you'll see till it's too late. I'm breaking ties, you don't realize what you're doing to me is poison. So tonight I say goodbye to feeling like I'm nothing and believing your lies. I was hypnotized. Why couldn't I see through your eyes? Your eyes. You tell me about your day and all your plans as if there's nothing wrong. Your transparency is giving me the thought to write this song. Thought you really trusted me, now it's harder to believe, 'cause you're always on the run. All you do to make me feel like I am so weak, all I gotta say is I'm done. When will you see you push me away? Don't think you'll see till it's too late. So I'm breaking
So that was Your Eyes by Jordan Smith, and just, wow. Well freaking done. Jordan Smith keeps getting better and better, and her roots as an artist get clearer and clearer with each passing song. Plus, her love of the Nashville sound is paying off. I would recognize these harmonizations anywhere in terms of the genre. Keep it up and keep evolving, Jordan. Well done. Again, this was Jordan Smith's most recent single, Your Eyes, available on iTunes and Spotify. All links will be in the description. The late Senator Arlen Specter once said, "There's nothing more important than our good health. That's our principal capital asset." And in fact, he's absolutely right. Being healthy, we can all agree, is a must for living to the fullest. And in the age of the internet, we are finding new information as to how to live a healthy lifestyle. A method that has been bolstered by the internet is the quote-unquote all-natural method, one free of harmful chemicals and full of ingredients that are easily pronounceable. To a degree, I do understand why this is a tempting approach, and apparently some people feel a very similar way, as we have slowly been moving towards a society that believes in all-natural ingredients with no GMOs, no prescribing of medications, and the belief that children should not be vaccinated. Of these, the one that surprised me most was the lack of vaccination of children, supposedly because of an increase of sicknesses due to vaccines, concerns about vaccine ingredients, and, most of all, vaccines causing autism. Now, of those three, the main reason why I wanted to look into the subject of vaccines was that last point. Vaccines cause autism. A claim that has been repeated time and time again, so much so that it's become the equivalent of a song in the soundtrack of my life. So, I decided to go back to the very beginning to figure out why vaccines have been such a big deal. All the way back to 18th century Europe and a disease called smallpox. Smallpox at one point was one of the deadliest and most common diseases around Europe in the 18th century, with an estimated 400,000 people dying every year from it. There was, at that point, no chance of stopping people from dying and generally wiping out the human population. Enter Edward Jenner, and no, he has no relationship to the Kardashians, either in lineage or reputation. Jenner was a physician working in England who, in 1798, discovered that patients suffering from another disease, cowpox, were immune to smallpox. To demonstrate, he infected an 8-year-old boy, James Phipps, with cowpox, letting him recover. Later, he infected him with smallpox. However, Phipps never became sick or died from the infection, and as a result, Jenner has been credited with creating the first vaccine, a vaccine that, by 1980, wiped out smallpox completely. As time went on, and the technology and medical intelligence improved, so did the vaccines, and with that, more and more illnesses that were common were beginning to either disappear or drop to an almost 0% chance of contagion. Worldwide, diseases such as polio, diphtheria, whooping cough, neonatal tetanus, and measles have fallen to 50% deaths prevented or higher, according to UNICEF. And yes, there are still diseases out there that are killing millions. However, the likelihood of someone dying from those diseases dramatically has gone down due to the advent of vaccines. What about the ingredients of vaccines? Wouldn't they cause bodily injury or, even worse, autism? This question can be answered in two parts, although in the end they have the same answer. No. Ingredients such as aluminum and formaldehyde, both of which have uses in the industrial world and can be dangerous at high quantities, are also wholly necessary in the production of the vaccine, helping in the strengthened response of the immune system and the weakening or death of viruses, bacteria, and toxins within the vaccine itself. And, most importantly, it cannot negatively affect the human body due to it being in low quantities within the vaccine. As for the study conducted by Andrew Wakefield, supposedly showing causation between the administration of the MMR vaccine to increasing autism diagnoses, the data was proven to be not only faulty, it was conducted after all amongst only 12 children, but also so strongly against ethical code that Wakefield was not only stripped of his medical license, but also found guilty of deliberate fraud by the British Medical Journal. Not only that, but Wakefield's study has been discredited by international organizations such as the World Health Organization, the World Bank, UNICEF, the United States Agency for International Development, and the Centers for Disease Control. And the medical journal that originally published Wakefield's findings in 1998 retracted the entire piece and all other scientific studies that heavily sourced it. Finally, in numerous follow-up studies which attempted to recreate the results, the data shown by Wakefield was never duplicated, thus breaking one of the most important rules of the scientific theory, to have a hypothesis that can be proven repeatedly. Therefore, it is safe to say that there is no relation between the MMR vaccine and being diagnosed with autism. In fact, if you think about it, not vaccinating children can be even worse. Look, for example, on the outbreaks this year of measles, mumps, and whooping cough, all of which there are vaccines for. The most substantial numbers of casualties are the children of the parents who began the trend of not vaccinating. And as a result of this decision, children are already starting to die. The sad part is, in 2002, it was announced that indigenous measles had been eradicated in North America due to vaccination. And in the case of seasonal flu vaccines, they are continuously changed from season to season for one reason: the high variety of genetic difference from one strain of flu to the other. And if you don't vaccinate, children would suffer greatly due to easy exposure. So why are the rumors still so common even after substantial evidence to the contrary? It's because of the cacophony of voices across the political spectrum that spread misinformation, and with the advent of the internet, these pieces of misinformation become increasingly common. In fact, it's a premise that has been made clear by many, including comedian Jimmy Kimmel, who on his show in February 2015 gathered a group of doctors together to tackle misinformation and encourage parents to vaccinate their children. So what needs to be done? Well, it's fairly obvious based on what's already been said. Everyone needs to get vaccinated, and that includes boosters. It is already proven that vaccines are beneficial to extending life, with disease after disease after disease being either completely eradicated or significantly reduced as a result. And for children and the elderly, as well as adults with naturally compromised immune systems, it is amazingly vital that we do so that they can live. Most of all, learn more about vaccinations and how they have saved humanity. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, because even though it's there, it doesn't mean it's accurate, especially when it comes to lifestyle and medical opinions. Only trust studies that have been peer-reviewed from accredited organizations, because unless there is evidence to the contrary, they are the ultimate authority in these circumstances. This is more than just our lives or even the lives of our children. This is for the lives of everyone. So go to your doctor and get the needle, because a little pinprick of pain will make a world of difference. So what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree? Either way, please go to www.lovelanddebate.com, click on the Learn tab, and you'll find the article there. Put any questions and thoughts in the comments section. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back after the latest single by Flip, All Wrong, available on iTunes and Spotify with all links in the description, I'll close out the show by discussing the slowly growing concern in the 2020 election that may have gone undetected so far, and how a few of the candidates may be able to buck it.
My mind, I never thought I'm gonna want you, girl. You say that I'm obvious and I shouldn't be around, but that only makes me want you more. Baby standing just outside the door, and we never talk about the demons though. I think about the things I do to you, and how they just slip back to me like glue. Girl, we got it all wrong, all wrong, all wrong. Selfish thinking is so strong, so strong, so strong. Don't want you to be alone, alone, all alone. Yeah, baby, come into my arms, yeah. So here we go tonight again, same track on repeat. You think we learned from old mistakes? You say that I'm ugly and I should've run away. I've been here before, so let's just hit the brakes. Baby standing just outside the door, and we never talk about the demons though. Think about the things I do to you, and how they just slip back to me like glue. Girl, we got it all wrong, all wrong, all wrong. Selfish thinking is so strong, so strong, so strong. Don't want you to be alone, alone, all alone. Yeah, baby, come into my arms, so because we got it. Want you to be alone, alone, all alone, yeah, baby, come into my arms, yeah.
And now, some final thoughts. A debate to start at the end of this program. In 2016, the Democratic Party faced an absolute force of nature, the likes of which had never been seen before in a presidential race. This force was a bully, someone who was ready to not only stoop low, but then justify every instance of it. And, when the attention was too much on him, he would use every opportunity and every scandal to get people to look away. And unfortunately, that force of nature won out, creating the phenomenon known as President Donald Trump. Now, in 2020, the Democrats get another chance not only to take back the White House, but to reverse much of the social damage and restore the international reputation of the United States. The question is, who will lead the charge, and what will it take to ensure that Trump does not win his second term? 9 candidates have emerged, each with their own story as to how they got there, with 8 of them forming their campaigns and exploratory committees within a period of 1 month, from January 11th to February 10th. Not only that, but all 9 of these candidates have the qualifications and the potentials to be strong candidates. However, whoever wins will have to put up a massive fight. Trump is, as a former reality television star, an expert of manipulation with the media and how to swing the vote and the overall opinion his way with the amount of coverage he gets. Indeed, every time Trump takes to his Twitter, the media is abuzz with analysts and overall anger and negativity, distracting from what Trump is truly doing, or rather, not doing, regarding political policy. However, he will have to change tact, especially when considering that his media coverage will be theoretically halved, as the eyes of the world will be generally fixed on the Democrats, as the Republicans have virtually guaranteed that Trump will be the nominee come 2020. The Democrats could even use Trump's campaign as a base for their nominee, at least on a somewhat fundamental level. Trump became successful in the 2016 election through the manipulation of emotions and the creation of buzz phrases that would not only be a signature of his campaign, but also his presidency. Add in the fact that Trump would insult everyone, creating the sensation of the underdog taking on the establishment, and the Republicans had their metaphorical knight to ride behind. The Democrats could use a similar strategy, albeit with a few major discrepancies. First, the Democrats need to concentrate less on attacking the character of Trump or his prior statements on social issues, and instead focus more on his political policies, in particular the humanitarian crisis on the border of the United States and Mexico, and the handling of both Saudi Arabia and Russia by the Trump administration. Next, a significant part of Trump's victory came in the usage of catchphrases such as "build that wall," "make America great again," and "lock her up," which he worked into his campaign and have since become popular amongst his base. The Democrats could do the same thing, however they would make the phrases policy-based on a potent mixture of emotion and a clear plan, giving the supporters a full dose that the Trump campaign clearly cannot provide. Finally, and most important, it would all come down to the candidate chosen by the Democrats to represent the party, of which there are three categories. First, what I'd like to call the usual suspects, or those who have been openly opposed to Trump and have led the charge against him in the House and Senate, such as New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, California Senator Kamala Harris, and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Should Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden run, they would be in this category as well. Second are the silent vets, political veterans that are not household names with brands, but still have enough experience to provide Trump with a tough challenge in the debates. They include Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar and former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro, who was also the former mayor of San Antonio. Finally, the rising rookies, those who have minimal political experience but could still beat Trump on the amount of political experience and intelligence that they have. They include South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, former Maryland Representative and Capital Source founder and CEO John Delaney, and Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard. The choice would have to come down to two factors: the popularity of the candidates across the spectrum of Democrat voters, and how much of a challenge they would give to Trump in fighting for a second term. To me, it shouldn't be Booker, Gillibrand, Bernie definitely not, or Warren, only because of how liberal they are. In fact, in my opinion, the ideal Democratic ticket would be one candidate from the usual suspects and one from the rising rookies. In other words, Kamala Harris running as president with Pete Buttigieg as the vice president. Why? Well, because they both already have an endorsement from arguably the most influential Democrat alive, former President Barack Obama. In her interview with The New Yorker shortly before leaving office, Obama cited Harris and Buttigieg as fresh faces to the party who could be new leaders in this generation. And, looking at both their resumes, it's easy to say why. Pete Buttigieg may be the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, but there is more to him than meets the eye. Buttigieg, as seen by not only his new book, Shortest Way Home, but also his recent interview with Stephen Colbert, is a highly articulate, intelligent politician who is also a strong storyteller, having graduated from Harvard University as a Rhodes Scholar. Mayor Buttigieg is also a war veteran, having served as a lieutenant in the war in Afghanistan, and at 37 years of age is the youngest candidate in its entire election, bringing a sense of relatability to the millennial generation. Buttigieg has also been candid and straightforward, coming out as gay during his re-election campaign for mayor in not only a socially conservative town, but also the home state of Vice President Mike Pence. And yet, Pete Buttigieg still won 80% of the vote. However, Buttigieg does not want him being gay to be the reason he wins, instead focusing on demonstrating his strong knowledge of political policy. He would be the perfect backup to Kamala Harris, who not only has the skills but also the background to be a formidable opponent to Trump. Senator Harris is the child of two immigrants, one from India and the other from Jamaica, and has had to work hard to get where she is today, slowly and steadily rising to the top. She graduated from Howard University, earning degrees in political science and economics before gaining her law degree at UC Hastings, shattering the elitist stereotype usually placed on government officials of Harris's caliber. Harris would then slowly rise through the ranks of the California legal system, becoming the district attorney of San Francisco in 2004, introducing policies that would decrease the number of arrests and first-time drug offense charges and increase the number of first-time offenders earning their high school equivalency diplomas in exchange for cleared records. Her strong stances for the legalization of weed and LGBTQ+ equality ended up in her becoming Attorney General of California and later Senator. Harris's prosecutorial training allows her an advantage over all other candidates in the fact she knows how to present and attack a case, and can effectively weave all the facts of a case into a story that can be a combination of an emotional and factual appeal. Finally, combined, the two candidates appeal to the entire spectrum of Democrats, as both are highly educated and intelligent, both coming from immigrant families, and both cannot be considered elitist in their political careers or education. Harris has the senatorial experience in one of the largest economies in the United States, while also overseeing the legalization of marijuana in California. Also, they would be gaining a massive vote from the LGBTQ+ community, as Harris has been a well-known supporter of the community, and Buttigieg is a member of that community. In the end, however, this is just purely my interpretation of the 2020 election thus far, and I am nowhere near an expert on political matters. What I do know, however, is that whoever wins, it will be an election cycle that will not soon be forgotten, and no matter who wins, it will be a decision that will carry a massive impact on the lives of not only Americans, but everyone around the world. So what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree? Either way, please go to www.lovelanddebate.com, click on the debate section, and respond, please. And while you're at it, don't forget to like us on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/lovelanddebate. Follow us on Twitter at lovelanddebate. Follow us on our Instagram page at lovelanddebate. Subscribe to the podcast on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. And don't forget to give us a review. 5 stars would be amazing. My thanks to Owlia Rijani for the graphics and show soundtrack, Jordan Smith and Flip for their amazing musical contributions to the show, Frankie Alchanati for taking time out of her schedule to talk about the film with me, and Imogen Aiken and Hillary Lau for their tremendous generosity and lending their voices. That's it for this week. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, ready to go. Thank you guys for listening, and until next time, keep loving, keep learning, keep debating. We'll see you next time on the New School of Thought. Goodbye.
This has been an LLD production recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.